How's it going, Steve here? This video is in response to somebody that didn't know how to actually follow me on my video and how to do my videos, because I understand they're fast, because some of the stuff takes like 2 hours to do, and I'm not going to do every drawing I do cut into sections to show how to do it step by step. But this one specifically is for setting up your line work in Photoshop. So let's get it started here really quick. If you notice, all my line work here is actually, when I sketch it, it's in red, and I ink it over in black. The reason to do so is because I can pull out the red channel in Photoshop, so I just leave all the black intact. Because what I actually used to do was sketch it in pencil and ink it over, and the dark pencil, the black pencil, and the ink just caused a bunch of issues. So then I just started using red, so I can just drop out the red channel and just leave the actual line art on the paper itself. So normally the first thing I do is actually adjust the layer, or the levels I should say. Make it this way I can actually make the reds darker and the blacks darker, so it's easier to pull out. Then I'll go into the actual channels, click on red, drops out all the red. Because I'm using PC, I control click on the red, control shift I to invert it, bring up a new layer, make black as my foreground, and alt delete. Now I can drop this channel out. Now I end up going up to image, turn it to grayscale, flatten it. Now I'll go to image, mode, bitmap. Then kind of bring it back down to CMYK or RGB, I mean whichever one you prefer. So I always use RGB for the most part. Alright, now being as we got this into bitmap now converted back, when you drop the actual artwork in, or the color in here, it's going to go all the way to the line. Now normally if you just didn't, if you actually had your pencil line work and were coloring in, you'd actually have to color underneath it and extend past this line, but this way it just bumps straight up to there. Normally after I get this set up here, I'll actually have a new layer, or a new image, or new artboard already set up, because I usually just drag and drop this in there. So I'm actually going to control click on this again, create a new layer, make these a foreground, alt backspace. I forgot to invert it back, so all that is control shift I to invert it back, then do it. Now this way it actually leaves the ink on a transparent background. So what I'll do is I'll bring this one down and drag and drop this layer into a new one. Bring that up. Now with this, I usually create a couple extra just to be on the safe side for air sake. Now with this, I will actually start inking it. I'll just throw some quick random colors in there, paint bucket tool. And I'll show you how I actually select all the colors at once. And if you notice, what you'll have to do sometimes, if you actually have opening lines or actually gaps in your work, you'll just have to take the brush tool and close in these gaps right here. Alright, now the way I work with colors, I get all my flats in first, then I'll actually select the wand. See if I remember the settings, I haven't done this in a while. That's not it. Alright, so you can click anti-alias and continuous, and it'll actually select all the same colors on this layer. Then I usually go Control J, and that brings all those colors onto one new layer. Then what you do is you lock the transparency with this button right here. Click on brush. Let's go this. And when you lock the transparency, you can actually color. It'll only color on the actual the color itself. It won't exceed. But if I click off of it and I color, it's gonna go on everything. So once I do this pretty much for every color, I'll flatten them all back down, and that's pretty much it. I mean, if you wanted to create a background layer or an under template for it, actually select all these back up on here. I mean, get rid of all the negative space that you don't want in the drawing itself. Control Shift I. Then select, modify, contract. Normally about 2. Then I usually run with a white one. Put that under. Make it white. And then just go to blending options. Like I said, this is all stuff that I do, so I'll change the color to something. This is how I normally set up all my artwork. I forgot a space right here, but hopefully this gives you an idea of how I actually do this, and hopefully it helps you. Thanks for the time.